Hi, everybody. This is Jimmy DeYoung. Welcome to Prophecy Today video. This last weekend on our national radio broadcast, Prophecy Today Weekend, we spoke with our broadcast partners about geopolitical activities happening across the world. We also spoke with Rabbi Yoel Karen about Tish B'Av. That is the day in 586 BC when the first temple was destroyed. In 70 AD, the second temple was destroyed on that same day, Tish B'Av. Rabbi Yoel Karen brings some very interesting thoughts to the table. You'll want to listen to this conversation. By the way, you can listen to all the conversations from our weekend broadcast, Prophecy Today Weekend. They're available at PTRN, our website, prophecytoday.com, and then go to PTRN, Prophecy Today Radio Network. It's radio on demand when you want it at your convenience. All of these interviews with our broadcast partners from our broadcast this last weekend are available. As you listen to these conversations, the theme of economics was prevalent. The fact that the entire world is in an economic crisis is, somewhat both of a concern to each and every one of us, but in another sense, it's a blessing because this global economic crisis is actually setting the stage for Bible prophecy to be fulfilled. Let me explain this, if you'll allow me the next couple of minutes. In the last half of the tribulation period, it is recorded in Revelation chapter 18 what is going to take place. Revelation 18 is talking about Babylon. It uses the word Babylon 3 times, the name of the city, the word city 6 times, and the word great 8 times, so it's talking about the great city of Babylon. Now, this will be the location where the Antichrist will lead an economic power center. This location for this one world economic political governmental system in Babylon will be headed up by the world dictator, the Antichrist. Babylon is the location. It's on the shores of the Euphrates River, about 58 miles out of downtown Baghdad. In the Bible, we talked about Babylon. In modern-day lingo, we would talk about Iraq. And this is the location where all of this economic power will be during that last 3.5 years of the tribulation period. You may be thinking, well, wait a minute, Babylon was destroyed. I remember Daniel chapter 5. No, that was not the destruction of the city of Babylon. It indeed was the destruction of the Babylonian Empire. The Babylonian Empire did fall, and that's recorded in Daniel chapter 5. But some 75 years later, Ezra, the scribe who had returned to Jerusalem and reinstitute the temple practices, was living in Babylon. 75 years after the fall of the Babylonian Empire, the city of Babylon was a very active city. You can continue to study that in history. Alexander the Great headed up the Grecian Empire, and he was that leader of the world from the city of Babylon. In fact, he opened up the Euphrates River from the Persian Gulf so you could bring 500 gunships up into Babylon itself. Babylon, the city, was never destroyed, and in fact, Peter, 500 years after the fall of the Babylonian Empire, 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 13, established a church in Babylon because Babylon was the second most populated Jewish city in the world at the time of Peter. That was 2,000 years ago, 500 years after the fall of the Babylonian Empire. Babylon itself will come back to power. It's never been completely destroyed, which was prophesied in the book of Isaiah, chapters 13 and 14. Jeremiah the prophet wrote about it, chapters 50 and 51. Revelation 16 says it will be completely destroyed. The greatest earthquake to ever hit the world is going to be a part of the destruction process. But before that happens, Babylon will come back to power. Babylon will be the economic center of the world. Now think with me just a moment. One of the reasons I do believe the United States military went into Iraq was because Saddam Hussein was moving to go to Jerusalem. He'd put together a 7 million-man army. He called it the Jerusalem Army. They were going into Jerusalem. They were going to liberate Jerusalem, give it to the Palestinian people. Remember, Nebuchadnezzar, that was a Freudian slip, the man who was in charge of that location at that particular time, Saddam Hussein, thought he was a reincarnation of Nebuchadnezzar, and he was going into Jerusalem. Nebuchadnezzar was the only one that ever went into Jerusalem. Saddam Hussein thought he could be the next one to be the victor over the Jewish people in the city of Jerusalem. If he went in there and wiped it out, then indeed he would have been following a program contradictory to Bible prophecy. So the Lord had to stop it. I believe he raised up America, the military troops, to go in there and shut down Saddam Hussein. Now they're trying to rebuild this war-torn country. They tell me that there's enough oil underneath the ground in Iraq to supply the world's oil needs. It is the largest source of oil any place in the world. You have Saudi Arabia, they're supposedly running out of oil. Iran is running out. But under the ground in Iraq, the greatest oil source that could be found any place in the world, it's going to make Babylon, or modern-day Iraq, the richest nation of the world. Now, that sets the stage for this economic power center that the Antichrist will be in charge of. Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, said that they're going to be putting in cutting-edge, state-of-the-art telecommunications systems in Iraq, which will make it also possibly the Silicon Valley. This is setting the stage for this power center, this economic control location to be put in place there in Babylon, and the Antichrist will come to power and do exactly that. He will work with the merchants of the world. He will have a marketing plan that nobody can beat. What's going to happen is everyone at that time is going to have to receive a mark in their forehead or the back of the hand. What is it going to be? I don't know. Is it a computer chip? Is it a tattoo? We don't know for sure. The Bible doesn't say. It will be an identification mark so that everybody can buy or sell when they have the mark. If they don't have the mark, they can't buy or sell. That's Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. The merchants will get rich because of this. Well, indeed, when Babylon is destroyed, you read chapter 18 of Revelation, they will mourn because of what's happening. By the way, a global economic crisis would set the stage for people to take an identification mark to be able to buy or sell. My dear friend, we are at this point in history. The stage is set for the book of Revelation chapter 18 and the prophetic scenario found therein to be fulfilled. There's only one thing that must happen before everything I've talked about on this look at the book, and in fact what all of our broadcast partners were saying about the economic crisis in the world, for it to come to its culmination, is the rapture of the church. When Jesus shouts, the archangel shouts, the trumpet of God sounds, and we leave this place to go be with Jesus in the heavenlies. That rapture could actually happen at any moment. And with the structure economically set in this world, for prophecy to be fulfilled, that's where we are. The next event is Jesus shouting, and we leave this place to go to be with him. And having said that, nothing left for me to say except let's keep looking up until...